Hi everyone, and welcome to Chemistry 1411. This will be your General Chemistry 1 course for Harvest Term 2. I am Dr. Sean Ridlin, and I will be your lab instructor for the semester, along with Lori McDonnell, who will be your lecture professor. So as I said, this is General Chemistry 1, and I want to just jump straight to the lab stuff. I just want to take a few minutes to go over the lab with you to just kind of give you a good idea what you can expect. So I will let Miss Matt go over the syllabus with you. But I want to just jump down to the lab portion, talk about that with you. So we're going to do a combination of wet labs and paper labs. So sometimes you'll be watching videos and writing reports based on what someone else has done. And then for a good portion of the semester, you'll be actually conducting the experiment yourself at home with your lab kit and then writing the report based on that. So the majority of your labs will be just basic labs where you're taking data and filling out a report sheet, but there will also be a DIY lab project which will be based on the separation of some solids, which will be worth 15% of your grade. Okay, so 15% will be based on that project, and you'll have basically the full 8 weeks to work on that, and then the remaining 85% will be based on the other labs. So I am going to give you ample time to turn in each assignment, and based on that, if it's a day late, I'm going to take off 10% for each day. Okay, so your lab grade is basically going to be based on your completion of the labs at home, the lab report sheet, and basically how well you do with that. So one really important thing at Eastfield College, one important policy that we have that you need to be aware of, is that if you miss more than 2 labs, we have to automatically fail you in the class. Okay, so failing to turn in a lab is essentially like not showing up to lab, and based on departmental policy, we have to give you a failing grade in the course. So you can miss 2 labs, but not more than 2. So if you're on the verge of missing more than 2 labs, make sure you talk to me, and we have to get that worked out. Otherwise, you're not going to end up passing the course. Okay, so you do need the lab kit, and I understand that we're still missing a lot of those. So hopefully those will be coming. If not, we're going to need to work something out there. But you do need the lab kit to perform the wet labs at home. Then lastly, we will drop 1 lab grade, so one of the reports. So I'm not going to drop this DIY lab project, but one of your basic lab reports, I will drop one of those. Okay, so that's pretty much it from the syllabus as far as the lab is concerned. If we jump over to the Blackboard, so we have a lab tab down here. So if you just come down, you'll see this middle section that says lab. So if you click on that, the first thing you'll see is this lab schedule. And so right now this is a tentative schedule. So as you can see, the first week we're doing lab safety, and then these measurements, a measurements lab. Okay, so that's going to be for our first week, and I'm probably going to modify this schedule as the semester goes on, mainly to push back the date when you need your lab kits. Okay, but here you can see the week. So this is our starting week, 10/19. That's the date of the Monday. So you see that the first lab you'll be doing is the lab safety, and the second lab you'll be doing is the measurements lab. Okay, so most of the time your labs will be due the following Monday. Okay, so in other words, labs from 10/19, or the date of 10/19, or the week of 10/19, will be due on 10/26. And that gives you a full week to do the lab. So essentially, we're looking at this as a Monday-Wednesday class. So you have a lab on Monday, you have a lab on Wednesday. And what I'm doing is I'm giving you the entire week plus the weekend to finish up the labs. And that gives you 2 opportunities to speak with me. And then it also gives you the whole weekend to actually perform the labs. And I've done that so that if it is a little bit difficult for you to find space at home or a quiet space at home to do the labs, then you have ample opportunity, or if you need to, go to a friend's house or a cousin's house to get internet or anything like that, you have good opportunity there to do what you need to do in order to get this done, and you have lots and lots of time. So hopefully within that a whole week, you're able to find time where you can either be alone or, go get internet access or whatever it is you need to do in order to complete the lab. Okay, and so the only exception to this is the lab safety, which I'm asking you to finish by 10/23, so Friday. The reason for that is I need you to get that done before we can continue on with the lab. So making it do a little bit earlier, so that if you don't quite get it done, I can kind of push you in the right direction. Okay, so that will be due on Friday. And that way you have it done before you actually do any of the labs. Pretty easy to finish, so you shouldn't have any trouble getting it done by Friday. If you do, let me know. Okay, but that's not really what this is about. So you can see the lab schedule here along with the due dates, so the name of the lab and the due dates. So make sure you check this and make sure there's no changes. The due dates will not move around, but the labs we actually perform will. Okay, and then down below that, what I'll do is I'll break this into folders by a week. So if you come to week 1, what you already see is you'll see the lab safety and then the measurements lab. So I will try to do that every week for you. I won't try. I will do that for you every week. So that all you have to do is come to whatever week we're on, choose that folder, and you'll see exactly what you need to do. And then, of course, make sure that you check the lab schedule for due dates and all that kind of good stuff. And within each lab, so let's just go into the safety lab. What you'll see is you will see the first thing, generally speaking, will be a YouTube link. So I put all these videos up on YouTube just for ease of access for you. And so I'll always put a YouTube link first. That will be me just basically going over the lab, how to turn things in, and that kind of stuff. This first one will talk about lab safety. It's already here for you. But we'll talk about lab safety just in general and kind of at-home safety, how that applies to at home. Then you have some assignments to do. So you'll see that basically with every lab. The only time you won't see a video from me is just if there's really not a lot for me to talk about that I don't think you can handle. But generally speaking, you will see a video like that from me. Okay, so I have a small checklist here. Okay, so my office hours for the lab will be Monday and Wednesday at 2 p.m. So every Monday and Wednesday at 2 p.m. You do not have to come to these, but if you're stuck with the lab or you just have a question, this is the time to come talk to me. And the way that you'll do that is you will come to these office hours link here, and then every Monday and Wednesday there will be a reoccurring link that shows up here. Okay, so you'll come there, and I should be waiting for you. So between 2 and 2:30, I'll be there, and I'm happy to go with you as long as you need. But if you are planning to show up, please show up between 2 and 2:30. That way I'm not just sitting there by myself waiting for nobody to come. You understand? Okay, but again, every Monday, Wednesday at 2, I'll be there. We talked about the lab schedule and the due dates. The safety assignments we'll talk about in that safety lecture that I've already put up for you. And then here I just want to talk about, so while I have your attention, I just want to talk about some basic lab safety at home with you. And I think I talk about this again in the safety video. But just real quick while I have your attention, first thing is to know your chemicals. So if you're not sure what something is, so if you don't know what sodium bicarbonate is, make sure that you do look up some hazard information. And the best way I can show you to do that is if you will just type into any web browser something like Sigma Aldrich. And you can go to their website. And this will work with any chemical manufacturer. Sigma Aldrich is the one I typically use, but it doesn't make any difference. And choose United States if you want it in English. And then you can type in the chemical. So let's say sodium bicarbonate. Okay, what you'll get here is just a list of sodium bicarbonates that they sell. That doesn't matter so much, but what does matter is this SDS. So this is the safety data sheet. And what this will tell you is all the information that you need to know about the chemical. So it tells you the name, the formula. This will tell you where it's been manufactured and how. But it also tells you things like firefighting measures, first aid measures. So what happens if you breathe it in? What happens if you eat it, for instance? Okay, so and you can do that with any chemical. So that's your best place to come find information about something if you're not sure about what hazards it might have. Okay, so just know your chemicals. Okay, next thing, make sure someone else is around. So you don't want to be completely alone in your house when you're doing the wet labs. And the reason for that is because you could get hurt, especially dealing with glassware and things like that. If you cut yourself badly on broken glass, or if your chemicals get out of control, then you're going to want someone else around that can help you. And you at least want someone to be aware what you're doing in case you need help or you get injured or just, like I said, things get out of control. And that shouldn't happen, generally speaking. I mean, but you never know when you're working in a lab situation, even as a professor, as a graduate student, anything like that. If you're working in a lab, you always want someone to be aware. And generally speaking, you want it to be someone in the same building as you. Okay, you don't want to have someone have to drive over to try to help you. You want someone at home with you, or in the next lab, or ideally in the lab with you. Obviously, you'll be at home, but that can help you in the event that you get injured or need some help. Okay. The next one, C, I just say, make a clean area to avoid contaminating other household items. What I mean by that is, your lab kit should come with a drop cloth. That's probably only good for 1 or 2 uses, just depending on how messy it gets. But you could also use things like towels, paper towels, newspaper, anything like that. So I would just kind of set up a perimeter, at least a base, so that if you spill something, it's not just on your kitchen counter or on your kitchen table where you eat. Okay, so just try to make a clean space for yourself to work. Push everything away. Don't have it real cluttered where you could spill things on other things that you use at your house. You don't want this getting into your food or into your excess clothing or anything like that. You would just try to make a clean space for yourself to work. So think like if maybe you were butchering chicken or cutting chicken for dinner. Would you want to put that on your favorite t-shirt? No, right? Okay, so think like that. Next one, clean up and dispose of chemicals properly. And if you're not sure how to get rid of something, look it up. So within that SDS sheet, it would also tell you how to dispose of it. Generally speaking, I will tell you how to dispose of everything in my lecture video, or within the lab, it will tell you. And most of the stuff that we're using, if not everything, I would probably think everything. I haven't looked at every chemical you're using, but for the most part, these can probably be disposed of just like normal household waste. Things like sodium bicarbonate is just baking soda, so throw it away the same way you would throw away baking soda. So that's what I mean. But you want to make sure that you know what you're doing. So if you're, for instance, mixing 2 things together that make super slime, like we did in 1405, you don't want to pour both of those down your drain at the same time, because what? You'll clog the drain, right? Okay, so just think about the way that you're cleaning up and disposing of the chemicals, and just make sure you're doing it the proper way. And again, if you're not sure how to dispose of something, look up that SDS sheet or contact me or whatever you feel is easiest and best for you to do, and I'll help you with that. The next thing, one of the biggest dangers that you'll see in these labs will be the fact that you're heating things. So you have a hot plate and you'll be heating glassware from time to time. So a couple things. A, don't heat plastic. So if your lab kit has a plastic beaker, don't think that that's some sort of super heat resistant strong beaker that can be heated on a hot plate. That's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that beaker is just going to melt and potentially catch on fire. Okay, so don't heat any of the plastics in the lab. Make sure you allow things to cool properly. So just like you wouldn't pick up a hot pot off of the stove, don't pick up a hot beaker off of your hot plate. It's the exact same thing. Okay, the next thing is that hot glass looks exactly the same as cold glass, right? Glass doesn't change color when we heat it. So that means be cautious if you've been heating a particular piece of glassware. So just like you would check to see if an iron was hot by placing your hand close to it but not on it, do the same thing with glassware. So you can place, for instance, the palm of your hand very close to a beaker to feel if it's hot without actually touching it. Okay, so that's the technique even chemists that have been in the industry for 30 years. That's the same thing they're going to do if they want to know if something's hot. Okay, so don't just go grab it. Another thing is if you break glass, be very careful with cleaning it up. So you won't want to pick it up with your fingers. Grab a broom, sweep it up, and then put it into the trash. And with that, if you do put it in the trash, probably a good idea to go ahead and take that trash out. And the reason is you don't want someone reaching their hands in and getting cut by the glassware, or at least make everyone in your household aware that there's broken glass in the trash. Just like you would if you dropped a glass or something on the floor. Okay? And the last thing, try to work in a ventilated room, at least if you can open a window, or if you have a garage, that might be a good place. But just somewhere where you're not going to be inhaling excess fumes. Okay, so that's just very basic at-home lab safety that I wanted to talk about in this intro. We'll get deeper into it with the lab safety video, and you'll go over a lot more in the safety assignments itself. Okay. And let's see. I don't know if I mentioned this. Hopefully you're still listening to me. But if you do need my email, if you do need to contact me for anything, my email is here. So just my first and last name, and then at dcccd.edu. So that's from our old name. Right now we're Dallas College, but our emails are still the same. So if you do need any help at any time with anything, or you just have a question, please feel free to email me there. And again, with the office hours, they are at 2 on Monday and Wednesday. If for some reason that doesn't work for you, maybe you work at that time, please feel free to set up a meeting with me any other time. I'm perfectly happy to meet with you, even if it's at night or whatever it is that works for you. So don't feel like, oh, I work at 2 p.m. or I have this other thing at 2 p.m. I can't get help. That's not true. So please email me if it's a question I can answer by email, or email me to set up a meeting if it's something that you would like to set up a meeting about. I'm perfectly happy with that. Okay, so I think I will stop talking now. Good luck with your semester. I hope you enjoy Chemistry 1. To me, this is an exciting class. It's a fun class, and I hope you enjoy it. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions at all.